This is a DJI O4 Air Unit Pro bought in 2025. And this is another Air Unit bought in 2026. Can you tell the difference? No? Neither can I. But something seems to have changed. In this video, I'm going to talk about some of my recent experiences which suggest that the O4 Air Unit Pros are not as good as they used to be. I've been flying FPV drones for 15 months and building them for the last 12. I'm pretty late to the hobby, so I jumped straight into flying drones using DJI O4, trying different styles of flying, none of which I've particularly excelled at. A few months ago, I decided to jump into the world of analog by purchasing a Beta FPV Air 65-2 and some HT0 goggles. Having played first-person shooter games all my life, I could instantly tell the difference in latency, and once you've experienced analog latency, it's hard to go back to digital. I started playing around with DJI O4's racing mode. For those that don't know what racing mode is, it's a specific setting you can turn on in your DJI goggles, which reduces the latency to as low as 15 to 20 milliseconds, the compromise being that your display gets locked to 1080p in a 4:3 aspect ratio at 100 frames a second. Racing mode comes in two flavors, 20Hz or 40Hz. 20Hz allows video transmission up to 20 megabits per second, whereas 40Hz allows you up to 40 megabits per second. If, like me, you fly in fields and around trees where there are a lot of small things you can hit, 20 megabits doesn't offer the resolution you need to avoid things. I went through all my regular Bando bashers and reconfigured them to use racing mode on 40Hz using Raceband 1 and began to experience something peculiar. On some of the newer builds, my quad would take off at 40 megabits, but as soon as the signal dropped below 20 megabit, it would never recover. The quad video signal would have a limit of 20 megabit for the rest of the flight, no matter what. I raised the issue with DJI support and I proceeded to do a whole bunch of not exactly scientific tests. I would arm the quad at 40 megabit. I would then walk all the way around to the other side of the house to get a signal below 20 megabit. Then I would walk back in front of the quad to find the signal never recovered above 20 megabit. I repeated this experiment 7 or 8 times with different quads and a clear pattern emerged. Newer O4 Air units suffered from this problem, whereas my units from last year were fine. After a couple of weeks of going back and forth with DJI support, they came to the conclusion that the problem I was experiencing related to the ham unlock on my DJI Goggles 3, which gave me all 8 raceband channels, and that I should be using raceband 4 or 6 only, which is what is normally available on locked goggles. They were never able to explain why older O4 units had absolutely no problem at all using any of the racebands available. Using channel 4 or 6 gave me a workaround, so I didn't think any more of it. Fast forward to a few weeks ago, I purchased a Flywoo LR4 Explorer bind and fly. The quad came ready built with an O4 Air Unit Pro. I took it out for a maiden flight and recorded some unstabilized footage. When I got home and put the footage through Gyroflow, I found some pretty violent shaking in the footage which didn't match the conditions I flew in. I began to tinker with the quad, tightening bolts, changing props, but none of it made any difference. I ended up taking out the RX receiver that was jammed between the camera and the flight controller and swapping it out for a diversity receiver in a bid to remove any possible contact. The new receiver was mounted underneath the frame to keep it out of the way. Another test later and the stabilization shaking continued. I was about to give up until someone pointed me towards a post on the DJI support forum. Someone there was suffering exactly the same problem as me, but had gone further by contacting various drone manufacturers, including SpeedyBee, Flywoo, and GepRC. They all agreed that in 2026, DJI had changed the gyro being used by the camera to something that was highly sensitive to certain vibrations. After reading the post, I ripped out the O4 unit on my Flywoo LR4 and replaced it with an O4 unit from an Avion RC quad I bought a year ago. The problem instantly resolved itself. I also shoved the O4 unit that was in the LR4 and put it into the Avion RC frame. The problem was once again visible. I tried both Gyroflow and Rocksteady stabilization, but nothing would fix it. I sent an email to Flywoo 2 weeks ago, but at the time of recording this video, I've yet to get a response from them. During the making of this video, discussions have been springing up in the community and there is evidence that the gyro in the O4 camera has been swapped from an MP66 IMU to an I469, which is the IMU that the O4 Lite uses. In the UK and Europe, and I guess probably globally, there was a drought of DJI O4 Air Unit Pros between November 2025 and February 2026. It was impossible to get hold of any units during this time. Stock started shipping towards March 2026, and I think, based on my own experiences over the last few months, the new units that DJI are now supplying contain different, if not inferior components, while still retailing at the same price. It's extremely frustrating. I would be really interested to hear from other people who may have had similar experiences. If you've had problems this year or you have any thoughts, please comment in this video and let me know what you think.